All right, 3.2, bar graphs. Basically, when we talk about bar graphs, a bar graph is a way to express data visually. Okay. There are basically 2 or 3 different types of bar graphs. Okay, and they're really not different types as much as they are just the number of bars that you have. We have a single bar graph. Okay, and that's like example 1 on page 108. Okay, we have a double bar graph. And that's like example 2 on page 109. Okay. And then we have a similar graph that we call a line graph. Okay. It is similar to a bar graph, and I'll explain and show you here in a second why that is true. Okay. Let me change my view here to get my graphing paper. That one. Okay. Now, basically what a bar graph does is it will have bars like this. Okay. This would be a sample of a bar graph. Okay. Now, if I told you that down here on the bottom that each of these bars represented, I don't know, we'll just call it candy. We'll say Snickers. We'll call it Reese's. We'll call it M&M's. And we call it gummy bears. Okay. Now, obviously, it's very easy to tell which do I have the most of. Reese's, obviously. The bar's higher than all the other bars, okay? That's what a bar graph does. We don't even really need to know, necessarily what it is sometimes, but we can tell that there's more of it. Okay, now, if we said that the number of people that dislike this candy, well, obviously, then Reese's would have the ones that dislike the candy the most, okay? Now, if I said it was, which candy do you like the most, then obviously Reese's is the one that everybody liked or liked more so than the others, okay? So bar graphs visually give you a detailed item and make it real easy to see. We don't even have to have the numbers. Now, bar graphs will have the numbers, but you really don't have to. You can just see it visually, okay? Now, this would be a single bar graph, okay? A double bar graph is going to look like this. Obviously, really should have chosen a different color here, but okay. Now, let's say I had the same thing. I had Snickers. I had Reese's. And I had M&M's. Okay, but this time what I did is, whoa, wow, went way up there. This time what I did was okay, the green box represents girls. Okay, the blue box represents boys. Okay, so let's say it represents the snacks that boys and girls like, or candy that boys and girls like the most. Okay, so that's a double bar graph because it's comparing two different people or categories with the same. Okay, so obviously there, the boys like which candy the best? M&M's. Like I said, don't even have to have the numbers. We know M&M's won. We know the girls liked Reese's the best. Okay, so obviously the girls liked the least M&M's. Okay, because it has the smallest bar. Okay, we call this right here a key or legend. Okay, it is used both of those terms are used fairly often, okay, for that. Now, when you have a double bar graph, you must have a key or legend. Okay, if you don't, then people won't know which one of the bars means what. Okay, now, let's talk about the things needed for a bar graph construction. So in other words, I tell you to do a bar graph, here's the things you must have. Number one, the bars must be the same width. Okay? In other words, I can't have a bar that's like this, and then I have a bar that's like that. Okay? This would be wrong. Okay? Because why would that be wrong? Well, the reason it's wrong is because it gives you the perception that the bigger bar has more to it. Okay? And it doesn't. It's the same as the other bar. It's the same height. But they look different, and it gives you the perception that the wider one's going to have more people, more whatever we're comparing. Okay? So they must be the same width. Okay? Number two, you must have categories. Okay? Categories for us was Snickers, Reese's, M&M's, and so on. That was our categories. Okay? Step three, bless you. Step three that I really did not put on my bar graphs is you have to have intervals. Now, what that means is this. Over here, in other words, here's my bar graph. Okay? And I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay? And these are the number of people. Okay? This would be our intervals. Right here. That's our intervals. Okay? You must have those. Okay, I can't draw a bar graph without knowing the numbers. Now, we just talked about the visual part of it. You can see real clearly which is the most, which is not, that type of thing, okay? But for our purposes, you must have the number of whatever you're comparing, and you need to describe it like I did here. So if you're comparing millions of dollars, then you put millions of dollars, if that's the number of things that you're looking at. Okay? So that's what I mean by intervals. Okay? Number 4, you must have a title. Okay? You must have a title. You must title your bar graph, whatever they may make you do, you must title it. Okay? Number 5, the last thing, you must have a legend or key when doing multiple bars. Okay, so if you just have one bar on each category, you don't have to have a legend or key. It's only when you're comparing more than one bar on your bar graph. Okay? And obviously we know what the legend and key is. I've already shown you that. Okay? So, let's look at a line graph. Okay? Now, okay, let's say this is our line graph. Okay, we're going to say that it's the same thing as a while ago. It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, down here we're going to have Snickers, going to have Reese's, going to have M&M's. Actually, I'm going to spread those out a little further. Going to put Reese's. Whoa! Going to put Reese's there, M&M's there, and then gummies here. Okay. Now, if I go up to my first graph, I'll go back down to that one. Just bear with me. And let's say this is 2, 4, 6, 8. So at Snickers, we had 6 of them. So I go down here to my line graph, and I go Snickers, and I go up to the 6, and I put a dot. Okay? So now I go back up to Reese's. Reese's, I had 8 of them. So I go here at Reese's, and I go up to 8. Okay, then M&M's, I think I had 4, and then 2 on the other one. So M&M's, I had 4, which is right there, and gummies I had 2, which is right there. Now I'm going to take and just simply connect the dots. Oops. Going to connect the dots with the line. Okay? And I'm going to say this is put the title as Coach Smith's Class Preference on Candy. Okay? That would be a line graph. Okay? It has categories. Let me go ahead and put number of students. Okay, it has categories, it has intervals, has a title, okay, and in this one, the dots are evenly spaced, where on the bar graph they have to be the same width. You want your dots to be evenly spaced. What I mean by that is I don't want to put Reese's right there, M&M's right here, and then gummies way over here. Okay, you want them spaced out evenly, okay, across your graph. Okay, you don't want 3 dots right here in a row and then one way over here. Okay, that's not how you would want to do it. Okay, because it will distort your graph. Okay, so that's what a line graph is. Okay, now there's 3 types of line graphs. Okay, there are 3 types of line graphs. Okay, 3 types of line graphs. One is a straight line graph. 2 is a broken line graph. And 3, curved line graph. Okay? A straight line graph looks like this. Maybe the line does that. Maybe the line does this. Okay, those are straight. Okay, a broken line graph is one like we just did. Something like that. Okay, this is broken. This is straight. And a curved one, the most common curved one that you would see in school settings would be this. Okay, this is curved. They call it the bell curve because it's shaped like a bell somewhat. Okay? So those are the types of line graphs. Okay? Not real hard. You can have double line graphs. For example, you could have another line in here that maybe did this. Like if we wanted to do the boys and the girls like we did a while ago, okay, and you could have this right here. Okay, and that would be a double line graph. If you had that, you would need to have a legend or key, letting us know what each line stood for. Okay, but that would be a double line graph. There's some of them I've seen in the business world. I've seen 4 and 5 lines on a graph. Okay, when they're trying to, a good thing they might do is okay, here's the price of 5 different stocks over the same period of time. Okay, they might do that. Now, usually on a line graph, you usually have items that are dispersed over a time period. Okay, this would not realistically. This Coach Smith's candy preference in the class would not be a good graph to do a line graph on. That's a better graph to do a bar graph on. What we would want to do a line graph on is this. Okay, how many Reese's peanut butter cups did we sell in the cafeteria in August, September, October, November, January, February, March, April, May? And then for each one down here, you would, instead of having Snickers, you would have August, September, October, November. That would be your categories. And you would see did we rise? Did it go like this? Did it start up here and everybody got tired of them? That's like chicken fried steak on Thursdays. First of the year, everybody orders chicken fried steak on Thursday. Then as it gets throughout the year, I would bet the numbers start going downward. Because why? You get tired of it. Okay? Same old smell, the same old, everything. Everything's the same. I'm tired of it. Don't want to order it. And so it goes from here. That would be a good one to do a line graph on. It wouldn't be a good one to do necessarily a bar graph on. Okay? So usually line graphs are items that are spaced out over time. Okay? They do bar graphs that way as well, but a lot of the times they use line graphs, especially if you're comparing 2 or 3 different things. Let's say we did the chicken fried steak lunch and the pizza lunch, and we want to see their numbers throughout, how many ordered in each month. Okay? Obviously, there's 4 different weeks in a month and all that, but that's where they would use a line graph, bar graph. For example, a bar graph, I get a bar graph every month in the mail when I get my electric bill. My electric bill comes in the mail, and it has a bar graph on it showing how much energy I used each month for the last 12 months. Okay? Now, your homework, don't put it up yet. Your homework. Could be. All right, I hadn't written it down in RenWeb yet. So I'll get a look in my book here and give it to you. All right. We're going to do problem numbers. This is 3.2, 2 and 3, 5 and 6, 7, and then 12 through 14. Okay, it's like 2 bar graphs and a line graph. Okay, so you may go,